Good morning, everybody. Happy game day. It is Tinker time, where the wrong decision is going to turn that win into a loss, but the right one just might turn that loss into a win.
It's about that time.
Stone on Sports.
How's it going, everybody? This is Tinker time, like I just mentioned about 5 seconds ago, and you are watching Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball. My name is Matt. As always,
Fantasy
got the co-host-
fantasy football,
fantasy
Matt.
football. My bad. Stoned on Sports Fantasy Football. This is our unscripted director's cut edition that we do every Sunday, helping you out with those last minute lineup decisions, start sits, waiver wire transactions, whatever it may be. And Kyle, we started at noon this year because last year we started 11:30 and we didn't have the inactives, but we've got them now this season. Why don't you tell everybody who's going to be sitting there?
Yeah, not too many names, just a couple. Russ Wilson is inactive for Pittsburgh today, so look for Justin Fields to start. He might be a good look in some DFS lineups today. And who was the other one?
T. Higgins is out.
Yeah, T. Higgins definitely out for the Bengals. Looks like Jamar Chase is going to suit up and play. How much? We'll see. So hopefully with Burrow back, they get that connection back. I'm looking forward to seeing the Bengals start playing much better than they did last year.
All right, and we've got It's Dayton in the chat. Chris Godwin or Devin Singletary at the flex today?
All Chris Godwin, baby. Can you name anybody on the Washington Commanders secondary? Yeah, me either, except for Mike Samerstill because he's a Michigan man. So am I. That's it. Like they have a no-name defense there. Chris Godwin all the way for me today.
Yeah, agree wholeheartedly. Appreciate you stopping by, Dayton.
Heck yeah. Right. Yeah. Give us a like and subscribe here every Sunday, 12 noon Eastern for Tinker Time, taking all those last minute questions live. We'll waste some time doing some betting advice, some DFS lineups maybe as well. But we're here for you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Dubo's got a question too. This one hits close to home for you, Kyle. Any concerns about Brandon Ayuk's playing time tomorrow night?
They've already announced that he will have, a hard count there on his snaps. We'll see what happens. But the bigger concern for me is that Jets defense, the cornerbacks there are excellent. I think this is going to be a tough game for Brandon Ayuk. I have him in my home league, my big keeper contract league. I'm benching him this week. I paid $27 for him in an auction last week, and I'm not starting him week one due to the Jets defense and the, he's not going to get as many snaps as usual, or he should.
No, he's not. And I think if you have another receiver, you could start over him that's in maybe the top 30, I would go with that. If you don't, then, run him out there. And look, last year, the key to his success was his efficiency. So even on a reduced snap count, he can still produce.
Yeah. And I think I had, for my team specifically, I had Amari Cooper. So I flip-flopped. I put Amari in for things. So I think that qualifies as a top 30 guy.
As a follow-up, Debo asked, would you start Keenan Allen over him?
Yeah, Keenan Allen's going to play. He's active.
That's a tough one. That's probably right at the cutoff for me.
It is. I probably would. We just don't know how that Chicago Bears wide receiver room is going to shake out there with as much talent as it has and as much as those guys want the ball. Rookie Rome Odunze included. So we'll see. I'm leaning like 60-40. I would start Keenan over Ayuk.
Awesome. Dayton's back. Evan Ingram or Ferguson at tight end? This one's easy for me. I'm going with Ingram. There's nothing about that Miami defense, and specifically their linebackers and their safeties, that give me any kind of concern, as opposed to that Cleveland Browns defense that Dallas is going to be going up against today. no, I expect that game to be a rock fight essentially, whereas Jacksonville and Miami, I think, has a really good chance to shoot out.
Yep. I still like Ferguson and DFS.
Yeah, I mean,
Doing
he'll
that.
be a contrarian play, that's for sure.
Yeah. Save you a little
You
bit of
know,
money salary. Maybe you can get some money there. But for straight fantasy, yeah, Matt's right. Ingram's good play. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to bounce back and be a much better quarterback than last year. I don't know if he's going to be, the savior there, but I think he'll be much, much better than last year.
yeah, I think so too. Dayton says, thank you. You're very welcome, dude. We're here every Sunday. And then we've also got our weekly shows. While baseball is still going on, it's every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Once we get out of fantasy baseball season, then it'll be at 7 p.m. here starting in a couple weeks.
Yep. And Tuesdays will definitely be hitting the waivers hard for you guys, so you can get those in for your claims. And Thursday show's mostly going to center around, the weekly preview of coming up and some start sits that we recommend for that week's matchup or matchups, I should say.
And
weather concerns
Loud Boy.
today. Oh,
hold on. Loud Boy
in?
had a question here too. What's wrong with Chase? Allegedly he got sick, but that dude is suffering from cashitis. If anything, he's looking to get paid and make his point. He's active today. I got to imagine he's going to play, but that's pure speculation on my part. I think, with him not really being there at all in any meaningful capacity during training camp, he made his point. But still, he was looking to get paid like Jefferson and everybody else, but he's not as far along in his rookie deal as everybody else. So
that's true. That's true. And, if he's active, personally, I'm going to play him. The offense is the same. Burrow and Chase have been playing together for some years now, since college. They do know each other. So if there's a go-to Chase play, he's going to be out there. There's something going to be happen. Maybe he only gets, 3 to 5 catches today instead of, 7 to 10. But what he can do with those 3 to 5 catches, man, guy's amazing. I'm still.
I think if he's out there, he's going to get a full complement of targets because, opposite him, you're going to have Andre Yosivash, which, no shade if you folks out there have never heard of him. I've heard of him just because I'm kind of a D-gen and I listen to fantasy sports radio all day long to help pass the time. But
it doesn't have a huge. I mean, he went to Princeton. He was a 6th round pick in 2023's draft. I mean. We'll see. We'll see what the kid can bring.
Yeah. Dubo says Tyreek got in trouble this morning. That dude is.
Are we shocked?
Yeah, it's safe to say he's got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Detained on the
I
way
haven't
to
read
the stadium.
Yep, I haven't read the details or whatever's come out yet, but some type of traffic driving violation. We'll see. It'll all come out.
Probably
who cares
speeding.
As long as he puts up 30 today for fantasy owners, right?
That's it. Why don't we run through these games real quick here? Or you brought up weather before I cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
Weather
today. Actually, it looks pretty much fine. The game in Buffalo has some wind, 20 mile an hour, maybe gust up to 25. That might affect, some deeper passes or some kicks. And then in Tampa Bay, there might be one of those typical Florida afternoon showers. They roll in, they're gone 40 minutes later. So I really wouldn't worry about anything with weather today.
Nice. The Florida showers.
Yeah.
Although if there's lightning, we could see a delay.
Sure. Could happen. So first game, Patriots Bengals. Total on that's 40.5 on DraftKings. What do you feel about that? The spread is, let's see, Bengals -8.
Bengals -8. I think with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, he can give you, we'll call it competent quarterback play, right?
Sure.
I think the Bengals are a superior team if they had their full complement of receivers. If Higgins was healthy and playing and Jamar Chase was, 100%, I would say that line of 8 would be a little bit too low.
Yeah.
There are no pass catchers for New England that really intrigue me at all. The only one I really had any thought about, well, Pop Douglas to a degree, but not by a whole
Sure.
hell of a lot. And then if you decided to punt tight end, Hunter Henry was a decent option there at draft time.
Yeah.
Um, I think this game could get out of hand for New England pretty early. That's why on Thursday I brought up Ramondre Stevenson as somebody to definitely lower your expectations for. And I have no reason to vacate that opinion here a few days later, even with the news of T. Higgins being out. This is the first time that Joe Burrow is coming into the season fully healthy. And a fully healthy Joe Burrow is better than 95% of the quarterbacks in this league. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals win this by 2 touchdowns. And with the addition of Antonio Gibson there, that's really going to negate a lot of the obvious passing down work for Stevenson. And that's really going to diminish his value as well today. Really, with him, if you got to start him, you're hoping he falls into the end zone.
Yeah, for sure. The next game, Cardinals at Bills. The Bills are favored -6.5. And I don't know if it's me. Maybe I think this game will be closer than people think. I think the Cardinals are a team, on the rise. We'll see what happens with their defense, but with the Bills and the loss of some, talent from there, who's going to be catching the ball? Will it be just Kincaid all the time? Or Curtis Samuel, or what's going to happen there? I really like the Cardinals in this game. I think that they could actually pull off a win in Buffalo.
That wouldn't surprise me. The Bills had some key losses on defense. They lost Jordan Poyer, and there was some other dickhead whose names escaped.
And the rest of them that are there are kind of towards the end. They're older.
Yeah, they are. I think this is going to be, in terms of passing, I think this has a chance to be a big Trey McBride game just because of his familiarity and the mismatch that he presents. I know all eyes are going to be on Marvin Harrison as well in his actual, real game debut. You've got a couple quarterbacks who are not afraid to tuck the ball and run here. Looking at the total 46, I think this is another game that has a chance to go over today. And maybe we'll make a note of that for, here a little bit later when we slap together a parlay or something. I think this will be a fun one to watch, though. On the Buffalo side, outside of Dalton Kincaid, I think if you're looking for somebody like specifically for DFS or something like that, I would say Khalil Shakir, just because he has the familiarity and the time in the offense, and he's going to have more chemistry with Josh Allen than anybody else there in theory. Now, understand he's only got about 60 career targets, but it really seemed like he come on down the stretch last year, almost at the expense of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and he did. And he definitely was doing a lot better after the OC change there as well. The whole offense was doing a little bit better there.
What do you think of James Cook today?
I don't even like James Cook season long. So I'm going to start him. I'm going to play him. You drafted him where you did to play him. That Cardinals defense is still suspect for me. We'll see how things shake out here the first month of the season, how they look. But I'm still going to start him. I do think like a Michael Wilson or Greg Dortch is a sneaky DFS play today in a flex for some salary relief there with Zay Jones suspended and, pretty much Marvin Harrison and McBride, the only two other pass catchers there. So one of those guys are going to shake out as number 3 today. Maybe they can break one open and get into the end zone.
It's certainly possible. Next up,
yeah.
Here where I'm at, Indianapolis. The Texans come to town to play the Dolts, and for the first time, we're going to get to see Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor on the field at the same time. Although, if memory serves, that Texans defense was a little tough at times last year.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah, because they're, you remember the years that you could just kind of run all over them The matchups when Derrick Henry was in Tennessee, you'd always start Derrick Henry and hope that he would do something
against
good
the
those
Jags
weeks.
and the Texans.
Yep. Yep. And the Texans got a lot better. They lost some pieces. Grenard, the linebacker's gone. He was pretty good, but they've got some other pieces in there too. And don't forget who the coach is there, D'Amico Ryans. He is a defensive first, head coach. And Bobby Slowick's there in the offense. I like this game. I like the Texans in this game. They're favored -3. The total's pretty high at 49. I think there will be some points scored. But I don't hate the Colts in this game. I think Nico's going to have a big game. He lit up against them last year in the games they played, and that pass defense there for the Colts is still suspect for me, aside from, what's his name? Kenny Moore.
Yeah. And it's that Colts defense. They're beatable on the outside.
Yeah.
Because Kenny Moore is typically playing on the inside. And in theory, the Texans have the weapons to do it. I mean, Tank Dell played a bit on the outside last year. But I think he's going to see a healthy dose of Kenny Moore. I'm not going to say Kenny Moore can shut him down, because one thing that Tank Dell showed us last season was that man can separate. I like Nico today. I think the big thing for me is I want to see how those targets are going to be distributed amongst those three. And you've got Dalton Schultz there, who's no slouch of a tight end. You've got who's that dickhead they just brought in? Joe Mixon out of the backfield. He's a good receiver. So, we've been saying since draft time, like, hey, CJ Stroud, there's some upside there. Not as much upside as somebody like Anthony Richardson, just because of the rushing ability.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud also kept his ass on the field all year last year.
Didn't he miss one game?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he missed one game.
He might have.
For some reason. I'm pretty sure he missed one game for some reason. But I like the Texans in that one. Another high scoring one there on with the total of 49.5 is Jaguars Dolphins. I'm very excited. I like Mike McDaniel, the coach. I think he's got some good stuff, some scheme. He works that motion so much and gets these receivers and the talent there for pass catchers in the right position and on the move when they're catching the ball. And I love it. I don't know what the Jaguars defense is going to look like this year. We will see. I'd like the Dolphins in this one. They are favored by -3.5. I'm curious how the running back room is going to shake out if Achane, Mostert, who's going to be the guy this week.
I think it'll be close to an even split in terms of overall total touches. I think Achane will get some work, in the slot and receiving out of the backfield. Getting him the ball in space is how you're going to help him achieve success, right?
Yeah.
But there's just so much speed on that team. Everybody is just so damn fast. Tyreek had his little incident this morning, whatever the hell that was. Not going to speculate there. Wouldn't be surprised if we see some angry Tyreek today, where he just absolutely goes off, which, my fantasy team would enjoy that. And we know, look, it's in terms of who is getting the ball there, it's the running backs, it's Tyreek and it's Waddle, and it's really nobody else. But I think that game can shoot out today. That's another one. I wouldn't be surprised if that game was played in the 60s. I did see the other day on the Jacksonville side of the ball that Brian Thomas has been named starter alongside of Gabe Davis, with Christian Kirk coming in when they're running 3 wide receivers, which that's not really a big departure from what they did last year. I think Kirk, when he was healthy, had something like a 75% snap share, which is plenty for him to still do damage.
Yeah, I really, really like him this year. I think he'll I got him finishing, top 15 receiver this year. I think he could scoot in that. I think he could scoot in that 12 to 15 range. I don't know if I don't think he'll be a wide receiver 1, but 12 to 15 finish this year.
So that's, I mean, you're essentially
yeah.
calling him a poor man's sun god.
Yeah. And he's similar in a lot of ways that way. And it's all going to depend on the QB play there, Trevor Lawrence, how he can play and if he can stay healthy, because he did miss some time last year. So,
well, they got Mac Jones to back him up.
oh yeah, super good one.
Old McCorkle.
I think the schedule makers have a sense of humor there. The Steelers go to the Falcons, and Arthur Smith, the fired coach from the Falcons, is now the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. I like the Falcons in this one. They are favored -4. The total's 43. I think there's a chance it could go over that, mostly because I think the Falcons offense is going to be pretty damn good today at home. If you have Falcons in your on your team, on your roster, I'm starting them. Okay. I even think Darnell Mooney is a sneaky DFS play today, which you probably won't hear me say that many times. But there's something could happen with that. He's been doing really well with the team down there during training camp.
Nice. Dubo agrees with you. He's got Kirk in the flex.
That's a great place for him. I would consider him as my wide receiver too, the highest, if I had to. But flex is perfect for him. Definitely. If you had a choice, Matt, between a flex fill and you had Kirk or Godwin today, who do you think you would go with?
Wow. That would be a good dilemma to have.
It's a it's a good one.
I would lean Kirk because I think that game has a greater chance to shoot out than Tampa and Washington. But then again, with Washington and Tampa Bay, you've got Tampa is a decent offense. Defense is not as impressive. And we've got the debut of Jaden Daniels in Washington. The best passer that they've had there in a minute, probably since Kirk Cousins was there.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked earlier about their defense and specifically their secondary. That's a game that could go over the total, weather permitting.
It could.
I think I would lean Kirk though. Squirt gun to my head. I'm going Christian Kirk.
I'm really torn, but I think I would go Christian Kirk too, only because he's the number one there, and I still think, at least on paper, the number one is Mike Evans there, based on recency and stuff like that. But I think Godwin's going to take over this year. I know you agree as well that he'll lead the team in targets, but I think I'll go Kirk on this one as well.
All right. So if you had to start one of Jaylen Warren or Najee Harris today.
The funny thing is on DraftKings on DFS, they are the same price. I think they're both 5,600.
Nice.
I hate when they do that. I think I would go Warren. I think because the Falcons, I believe this game that they will score some points in Pittsburgh, will be playing from behind. So I like Warren's receiving ability there out of the backfield as they pass more to try and catch up.
I can dig it.
So we got going to be Caleb Williams' first game there. The Titans travel to Chicago. The line's -4, Chicago. I'm really excited to see, even though I'm a Lions fan, I'm still excited to see what this Bears offense is going to look like. But what I'm really high on is I think Chicago's defense is going to be really good. I think they will take this game there. I think we're not going to see super great leaps from Will Levis today. I just don't see it. There's a new running back room there with Pollard and Tajay Spears. I like Chicago in this. I think it'd be good for fantasy this week if you own a Bear, especially DJ Moore I'm kind of low on because it's L'Jarius Sneed probably going to be shadowing him all over with his head up his butt. But Keenan Allen, maybe Cole Kmet's a sneaky tight end play today in DFS, or
Rome.
Even in fantasy, if you punted tight ends and then Odunze as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no opinion on Will Levis at this point. DeAndre Hopkins is going to try and play through a torn MCL, which is, more power to him. If you want to try it, try it. Calvin Ridley, I've never really been high on. And that backfield.
Good last year. Damn, he was good last
year. He was all right. That backfield with Pollard and Tajay Spears, like if you're having to choose there, good luck. That's probably going to be pretty damn close to an even split.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, one of them can be efficient enough to turn in flex-worthy numbers on the Chicago side of the ball. I think people are sleeping on DeAndre Swift a little bit this season. Everybody's all excited about Caleb Williams coming in and they got all these receivers and chucking it around the field. Like, this is still the Bears. This is still an outdoors NFC North team. Nobody is going to mistake them for the Chiefs, right?
Right. They're going to run the ball.
They got him. Yeah, they're going to run the ball. Now, DeAndre Swift, he's long-term for this season. I think he can be a solid RB2 for today. Yeah, I don't necessarily know I'm going to be running him out there, but
he just needs to stay healthy. Last year he did. When he was with Detroit, he was hurt. And even when personally I believed it was an injury he probably could have played through, he kind of wussed out in a way. But if they can get his receiving out of the backfield going up, he's a dangerous weapon. He's very talented in open space. Dubo says he wants to see Brock Bowers today. Next big tight end. Could take Mandrews a spot on my roster. Maybe slow your roll there a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Don't panic on Mandrews.
Don't panic on Mandrews. I wouldn't either. I think Reddit was just full in the fantasy football subs, just full of overreaction Fridays from Thursday's game with Isaiah Likely going off and Mandrews looking the same. Look, I think the target share, the route participation, Mandrews was still higher and played more snaps. So I'm not worrying about that one. I do like Brock Bowers. I think he'd be a great tight end. I think he'd be even better this season if he had an above average quarterback.
Yeah. And that's really the thing. Look, we know Devontae Adams is going to get his, right? If he ain't getting his targets, then Minshew ain't going to be the quarterback no more. My concern is, can Minshew support two fantasy viable options? Because with Adams still getting his, I think a lot of the targets that Brock Bowers may see will be cannibalizing off Jacoby Myers and what we saw from him last year. He was a very solid but unspectacular option, a low end wide receiver 3, something like that. Or no, I think he finished as wide receiver 24 last year. So he was the last wide receiver 2, but still a wide receiver 2. Mm-hmm. I think Bowers will eat into that and they'll just kind of cancel each other out a little bit. The weeks that you play him, you got to hope for a touchdown.
Since we're talking about some Raiders, they travel to LA to play the Chargers for our AFC West matchup. Chargers are favored by 3, totals at 41. Our Michigan man, Harbaugh's there back in the NFL now, and we expect that to be a ground and pound game there for him or for that team. But he's never really had, that's a good quarterback to have if you're going to be a run-focused team, because when you do pass, you should be really damn good. The only problem there is the lack of, pass catchers. You have Josh Palmer. Quentin Johnson was a rookie last year, didn't really look good. Ladd McConkey's there. He is a rookie. Is there anybody else I'm thinking? I mean, Josh Palmer's pretty much the alpha there as of now, just from familiarity in the offense. I got the Raiders pulling a little upset today. I think that they can go in there and win.
Think so. I don't know, man. I think it's possible there's some questions about that Chargers defense, but we also know that Antonio Pierce wants to run the ball and play defense. And in theory, they should be able to do both. I know Zamir White, there was a lot of back and forth on him during draft season. And kind of where I settled on him was he should be a solid running back too, right? He doesn't really catch the ball out of the backfield. I don't really see him as like a real explosive type, but in fantasy football, volume is king and volume is what he should get. So he's going to be a volume based running back too, with RB1 upside on any given week, depending on when or if he finds the end zone. Gus Edwards is nothing special. J.K. Dobbins, if the man could stay on the field, he was electric before all the injuries. But now he's had a torn ACL and torn Achilles. Like, I got to wonder how much he's got left there and what he's going to be able to provide. I did see a note about Kamani Vidal handling some third down work as well. So it looks like from the outset here, even though Gus Edwards might be on the field to start the game, this is going to be a three-headed monster backfield that's going to be difficult to navigate. Justin Herbert is an elite quarterback. Josh Palmer has a lot of experience and time with him there. There's some chemistry there. And you mentioned, coming into the season, he should be their wide receiver one just kind of by default because Quentin Johnston couldn't catch a damn cold. And with Herbert missing that time in the preseason, he didn't get the opportunity to start building chemistry with McConkey, who should be a really good receiver in his own right. He likely would have been a first-round pick in the draft this season if it wasn't for some of the injuries that he had while he was at Georgia. And when either Mike Williams or Keenan Allen was out and Josh Palmer was put into a starting role over the past couple of years there with the Chargers, he's performed very well.
Yep, he has. What's another game we haven't talked about here? Panthers at Saints, NFC South matchup, NFC South matchup.
We're making Dubo wait to talk about the Vikings too.
Yeah, we'll get to him next. It's not the greatest game. It's no secret me and Matt aren't Derek Carr lovers. Everyone saw what Carolina was last year with Bryce Young, new coach, new scheme this year. We'll see what can happen. It's really hard to pinpoint, some fantasy stars in this game. Sure, you have Olave, but I struggle to think of anybody else in this game.
Yeah, Olave, if he had competent quarterback play, would be contending for All-Pro every single season. I mean, he is incredibly talented. And even just him being able to do what he does with the level of quarterback play that he has received is nothing short of amazing. And I'm not one to quickly heap praise upon an Ohio State product. Looking at Carolina, well, I mean, it'd stick there like the hell's his name? Alvin Kamara. He should get a good amount of touches. Carolina's defense doesn't really scare me. That's a team in full rebuild mode. At the same time, like Kamara's getting up there in years.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what he's got left in the tank? There's still some questions on the offensive line. Dennis Allen as a head coach doesn't really inspire confidence, at least in my mind, at all. With Carolina, they brought in Dave Canales, who's been like a quarterback whisperer. He got some good results out of Geno Smith. He got some good results out of Baker Mayfield. So I understand the logic in bringing him in to work with Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a talented quarterback. You don't go number one overall for, no reason. He had success at Alabama. Yes, he's undersized, but it's nothing new for him. It's not like he's having to learn how to play as an undersized QB starting this season. Right. At the same time, I'm not really super sold on him. I think Deontay Johnson in PPR leagues is going to be a monster this year, just strictly through volume. He might give you 7 for 70 every week with, 4 or 5 touchdowns on the season. But in a PPR 7 for 70 from a guy who you probably drafted as a third wide receiver or as a flex option, you give me 14 points, your ass is playing.
Yeah. I think I think the Saints are, Dennis Allen seems like one of the first guys on the chopping block in the middle of the season to get fired if they don't play well. And I could see them I have them finishing last in the NFC South. Actually, Carolina actually finishes ahead of them in my mind. And they'll be probably picking up in the top 5 for a quarterback next year because they need
so,
one.
huh?
Derek Carr is not. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with that?
I saw there was rumblings when JJ McCarthy got hurt that Minnesota was looking to maybe try and trade for Carr. And it was at that point in time that I fell to my knees in a Walmart praying for Dubo because that would be bad news. And speaking of Dubo, let's talk about those Vikings and the Giants. This is a game in New York. The Giants are getting a point with a total at 42.5. Sam Darnold is coming out there. He's going to be at the helm. Look, you've got Justin Jefferson. You've got Jordan Addison, who should be playing. You've got a healthy Aaron Jones coming into the season. Like, there's a little bit to like there. And even though you have somebody who in Darnold is a talented quarterback who has just not been able to put things together all at the same time on the field, he struggled in New York and he was seeing ghosts. Then he went to Carolina and things weren't good there. He was a backup with San Francisco last season. He's a caretaker for this year, right? Because of the McCarthy injury. I think from DFS perspective, I think Justin Jefferson, it will be a nice low own pivot. On the Giants side of the ball, I love Malik Neighbors today. Malik Neighbors today. Old ass Stephon Gilmore is not going to keep up with him. And I imagine, and you see this trend in the NFL as a whole to them moving more, or defenses moving more towards zone coverage. Just because you've got these guys coming out with ridiculous speed. And you look what Xavier Worthy did the other night, Thursday, or Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle. You cannot expect one corner by himself to turn and run with these dudes when they're so fast. And on a talent standpoint, Malik Neighbors is just as talented as Marvin Harrison, right? And everybody was all on Harrison's jock coming into the season. Otis, I am going to beat the shit out of you just to pass the time. I should have put you upstairs. Running back, Devin Singletary is fine. He's a guy. I don't think anybody in their right mind is starting Daniel Jones unless you're in a 2 QB league hoping for some rushing upside from him. That's another team that I imagine is going to be drafting a quarterback next season to get out from underneath of that $40 million a year salary they're paying him. I think they can cut him after this year with like 28 mil in dead cap or something like that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
it's closer. Go ahead.
I think the Vikings are going to pull this one out on the road. 42.5 seems right. I could see this being a 21-17 game.
I think the Vikings can win by a touchdown. I really do.
Damn.
I don't think New York is that good. Their offensive line got reworked. We'll see what they do. They were freaking horrendous last year. It all is going to end up on the offensive line there for New York. What's going to happen? All depends. Vikings in a blowout. There you go, Dubes. Broncos Seahawks. Nix is going to be the quarterback there starting today for the Broncos in a nice system with Sean Payton there. Seahawks got a new coach. We'll see what happens there. I like Cortland Sutton in this game. I really do. I think him and Nix have kind of gelled there a little bit. And he's the number one wide receiver there, but and a sneaky DFS play today, Josh Reynolds he's cheap as shit, like $3,000 or something like that. It's either going to be him or Marvin Mims really fighting to be the number 2 receiver after Cortland Sutton. I like the Seahawks to win today. -6.5 seems. I think it'll be a little bit closer than that.
Shit, not me. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle won by 2 touchdowns. I think Ken Walker is going to abuse the shit out of them.
That Denver Broncos defense was absolutely fucking garbage in the first half of the year last year. And then last year, they were one of the best in the second half. They were damn good.
I don't necessarily like DK today, having to deal with Pat Surtain all day long. All right, get down.
Quit playing with your pussy, Matt.
Hey, you know what? I do what I got to do. I think Geno Smith is going to have a day on the Denver side of the ball. I actually like McLaughlin.
Sure.
We've seen Sean Payton's history with receiving backs and Alvin Kamara there when he was in New Orleans. I think they're going to be trailing, and that's not really Javonte Williams' game. I think Javonte is going to get some run in the first half. I think the second half is going to be all about McLaughlin. Cortland Sutton, I think he's the only viable wide receiver option for them. Mims is good as a deep threat, but that's really all he showed us last season. I don't necessarily know how successful a day Geno Smith is going to have. I think this might be a good spot for JSN to break out. Tyler Lockett, I think he's a little injured. He's getting old. He's had a good career. But I think this is where JSN kind of overtakes him.
How many rushing yards do you foresee Bo Nix having today? I think he hits 20, 25. Yes. Me too.
Yeah. Me too. I think he's good for mid-20s. Passing yards, we'll see. I was kind of high on Bo Nix coming into the season. I thought he looked really good there at Oregon, and he's started more games than anyone in college football history with, he was at Auburn for half a decade and then up at Oregon. I don't know. I think that game probably goes under, and I don't see the Broncos doing a whole hell of a lot on the offensive side of the ball. But there is a good opportunity for some garbage time production.
It was just announced by the NFL that Kendrick Lamar will be playing the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Yeah, it's got some good music. Let's see. We'll talk about a couple more here. Dallas at Cleveland.
That's going to be a rock fight.
Yeah, obviously, CeeDee Lamb will look to have a big day. Dak just got paid this morning. It was announced 4-year, $240 extension, so he'll be high there. I'm interested to see what happens for the running backs there in Dallas with Zeke and Dowdle and the other guy, I can't remember his name. Given that they're still playing Dallas,
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn. I still like Amari Cooper for Cleveland today in fantasy, regardless of going against Dallas or not. Deshaun Watson got to throw to somebody, and that's the man there. I mean, what's his name? Judy's there. I'm not scared of him taking over that role at all. Not Dalton Schultz. Njoku, the tight end. We'll see if he can find some familiarity with Deshaun Watson, and they can actually connect a little bit better. Because Flacco and Njoku were pretty much what it was last season. Browns are favored actually by -2.5. Shocking.
They are. It is. We've got a question here in the chat. Ben Nuttall, David Njoku, Taysom Hill, DK Metcalf, or Jerome Ford. He needs a tight end and a flex in a PPR. Cautious of DK, drawing Surtain all game and limiting his ceiling. And that's an opinion that I just expressed here a couple moments ago. For me, I'm going to go with Njoku and Ford. If anything, the PPR is going to help from Ford's perspective. Last season, the way to beat that Dallas offense was on the ground. Now they brought in a new defensive coordinator and with hopes of rectifying that. But at the same time, I still think until proven otherwise, that's going to be how you beat that team.
And if I recall, they weren't that great against tight ends either. Middle of the pack, I think. But you concerned choosing two Browns there? You don't have any other Browns in the lineup, do you, Ben? Because if you do, don't do that.
I mean, in theory, but this is kind of a victim of circumstance game. I don't think DK is going to go out there and get shut out, but I wouldn't be surprised if he just did something like 3 for 65.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill is too inconsistent. Taysom Hill is good for 3 games a season. And once you see that first good game, then you start him the next 2 because that's all you're going to get from it.
Yeah. I'm not even, no offense, Ben, but I don't even know why you have him rostered.
Probably for the QB eligibility.
Yeah.
Happens to Carr, then you've got a QB you can plug in at tight end.
I get it. Contingencies for sure. And yeah, Dallas does suck. I hate the Cowgirls. Always will. Good to go, Dupo. Good to go.
Thanks for stopping by, Ben. We're here every Sunday at noon answering these last-minute lineup questions, and we're also on through the week as well at 8 o'clock Tuesday and Thursday Eastern time, where we'll go over waivers and some start sits for the upcoming slate of games.
We've kind of touched on Commanders and Bucks a little bit already with some stuff. I'm going to skip them so we can talk about the Lions for a few minutes, and then we'll build a DFS lineup and get the hell out of here so we can fire up our televisions and some food and settle in for 7 hours of commercial-free football.
Hell yes.
Rams travel to the Lions tonight. Ford Field should be a good game, a rematch of last year's playoff game. Lions all the way in this, of course. I'm really concerned with the Rams. Rework defense. Aaron Donald's gone. Ernest Jones is traded. Their coordinator's gone. Very young defense, especially in the back end. I think Lions will feast. Start your Lions today, definitely. I'd even start Monty too, because I think he'll be getting some work as well. What do you think, Matt?
This is a smoke 'em if you got 'em game, really.
Sure.
If you have any skill position player from Detroit or the Rams, run them out there. We saw what Detroit's defense was like last year. They made a lot of changes in hopes of improving, specifically to the back end of their defense. But, there's also some promising players there. Brian Branch looked pretty good last year. The running backs, we know what's up there. In the event that, Detroit is up 7 points, 10 points there in the fourth quarter, we know Monty's going to be out there to grind it out. I think, we heard rumblings all throughout training camp of wanting to get Gibbs more touches. I think that's going to happen, but it's going to come through the passing game as opposed to more touches on the ground. He doesn't, why run him between the tackles when you've got David Montgomery? One thing I really would like to see more of that we didn't see last year, and maybe we will this year just because of question marks at that third receiver position, is seeing them both out on the field at the same time and really give defenses something to think about. If you've got Laporta, Sun God, and JMO out there along with those 2 running backs, like, all right, who gets your attention? Because you can't focus on them all.
It's toughy. And that's what makes it so difficult playing them. And, they're at home. They're excellent at home. Jared Goff's at home. I think Goff is a great play in DFS today. He's a lot cheaper than some of the top quarterbacks and could outperform some of them. As for the Rams, Stafford's healthy. Kupp's healthy. They have Puka. They have a great running back. I think their offense is damn good. This could be a bit of a shootout if the Lions defense doesn't look as good yet, at least in gameplay. It's week 1 that we think it might take them 6-7 weeks to get rolling until they really dial in defensively. Yeah, this point total is now at 53. I think it could easily go over. And And it really depends on the Lions defense, because I don't think the Rams defense is going to be good. They got some talent there. They got that Jared Verse on the line. He's very, very good. Dynamic pass rusher on the line. It'd be interesting. Very, very interesting.
All right. What do you say we get a lineup put together?
Sure.
Well, we only got a minute here, so
Yeah, do your thing and share your screen, and we'll be good to go.
let's see.
I don't remember how to do it. Dubo, is there DFS in Minnesota? I can't remember.
All right. No, I don't want showdown. I don't want early only. Give me the main slate. And we'll just jump in this single entry. Create new lineup. All right. Let me pick the QB. Yeah, and I'm going to go with Kyler Murray today.
Okay. I like it.
Running backs.
I'll do Ken Walker.
Ken Walker. Hell yes. I'm going to go with, I'm going to save that. Let me pick a receiver. I'm going to take Josh Palmer. Somebody cheap.
Okay.
Maybe some upside. Kyle, your pick.
I'm going to go. We've been talking about it most of the show. Chris Godwin against a bad Washington secondary. He's going to be back in the slot again. I really like him.
I'm going to jump to defense. They're a little expensive, but I like the Bears today.
Bears, I'm so high in the Bears defense this year. So high. What should I go with here? How about
give us a tight end?
I'll go with a tight end. I'm going to choose Pitts. I think this is the year for him, and I think him and Cousins are going to get along well. And last year, Pittsburgh really struggled versus tight ends, and they're at home.
I want to get a piece of that Dolphins Jacksonville game. I'm going to plug in Mostert. So we got a wide receiver and a flex.
6,050 each. A wide receiver and a flex. Let me see here. You were talking about
Malik Neighbors is sitting there at 5,900.
Yep. That's what I'm going to do. That's exactly who I was looking at. And for the $6,200.
Yes. Oof.
Swift. London.
Dang. We already got Pitts, though.
Let's take Pitts out. I just decided to take him out. He's gone. Let me look at another tight end. Hold on.
Okay. Standing by. We got 6 minutes.
This is there ain't a really. Actually, you know what? Yeah, give me Ferguson. I want a piece of the Dallas offense. So now you got 5,600. Sorry. Ooh.
Jesus.
Dang. That sucks, actually.
You know what? I'm going to run back the other side of Chris Godwin with Scary Terry.
Okay. There you go. Murray, Ken Walker, Mostert, Godwin, Josh Palmer, Neighbors, Ferguson, Scary Terry, and the Bears defense. Done.
Boom.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Yeah, if you choose to follow that, cool. If not, also cool. Of course, the show will only really matter for another couple minutes. So you probably won't even see this. But all right, thanks for everybody that tuned in today. We'll be back again Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern for waivers for week 2. We're going to get out of here. Enjoy watching football. Hope your team wins. Stay stoned.
Good luck, everybody.